Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new F1 Esports video. Today I'm going to be showing the third race which was held around Shanghai International Circuit. It's going to be a very interesting race. I'm starting on mediums on pole position. My teammate Danny Bresnay in P2 on softs. And Marcel Kiefer behind me in P3 on softs as well. Looks like a lot of people are going to be starting on the softs, so the opening laps are going to be incredibly tough. You can see Alvaro Carreton in P5 starting on the mediums, Freddy Rasmussen in P6 on softs, Enzo Benito P7 on soft. So it's going to be a tough few opening laps, but yeah, we're going to be fast at the end of the race. So let's head into it as we have 5 red lights and away we go. And initially, straight away, our teammate absolutely rockets past us with a pretty terrible start on those mediums as Marcel Kiefer goes down our inside as well. And David Tonitsa now as well, as they just have simply so much more grip at this point in the race. And you can see on the exit they just pull away so hard. So yeah, this opening lap very tough already, or opening few corners, as Freddy Rasmus is having a look at on us as well. This was definitely not an ideal opening few corners, as Freddy Rasmussen tries to go around the outside, but there's not enough grip to do that, and he tries to do the same again here, but we managed to stay ahead for now. And yeah, it's very important we stay ahead of as much people as possible in those opening laps, as Enzo Benito in P6, so Alvaro Carreton has lost a few positions as well. I think he's going to drop down to P8 or P9 in the coming laps. But yeah, 3 position lost already, and Freddy Rasmussen is going to make it 4 probably by the end of this straight. He's going to use a lot of overtake on this straight, and he goes down or inside past us. A lot more top speed, probably because he was using overtake. I tried to fight back into the hairpin, because obviously I don't want him to gain any time on us, as Enzo Benito goes down or outside into the hairpin, but we managed to stay ahead. But yeah, I'm using quite a lot of ERS because I want to stay ahead of as many soft runners as possible. And you can see there, I use some ERS again to close down to Freddy. It's important we're gonna try and stick in one of the soft runners DRS so we can get carried pretty much by them in some laps. I expect them to pit around lap 4, 5, 6. So, but yeah, let's hear from a team radio from me. Bonito disconnect. Tonitsa as well. So both Ferraris already out of this race because of a disconnect. So that's super annoying for them, of course, as I don't think you're allowed to rejoin. So yeah, it's race over for them. It's a DNF, and we're gonna go back up to P4 now with Joni Tormela half a second behind us. So yeah, that's pretty much 2 places gained for us at this point. With the alternate strategy, we probably would have got Enzo Benito anyway, but David was definitely in contention for the race win. So yeah, very unlucky for the Ferrari guys, but we're gonna continue to push as hard as possible. I expect Joni to get past me in the next lap at least, because he's only 3 tenths behind. The softs are still so much faster. You can see Freddy struggling to stay within the DRS of Marcel at this point. So he might pull off something different to the top 2. My teammate's still leading in P1, and we are coming under pressure of both Joni Tormela and Lucas Blakely. I'm not sure who is behind Lucas. I think it's Alvaro Carreton, who is struggling to stay within the DRS, of course, from Lucas. The softs have such a big advantage on this track, and you will see later on in the race how much faster I'm going to go than the medium runners. So that's going to be very interesting. I expect Joni to get past me on the long back straight. He's been 3 tenths behind me for pretty much a whole lap now. But there was no DRS, so it's harder to overtake, of course. The softs are, of course, a lot faster, but they are degrading really fast as well. So we can expect some undercuts coming, maybe even this lap. I feel like that will be too early, as the mediums will drop off towards the end, and the softs are still quite decent, I think so. But we are not going to fight Joni Tormela here, as that will only damage our own race. So we're going to let him go. He's going to get DRS. He's using the overtake. I'm not going to fight him. I'm going to try and get a little bit of a tow here just before heading into the braking zone. And I think Lucas Blakely, also on the softs, I would guess is going to get past us maybe next lap. But it also depends on when he's going to pit. You can see Freddie Rasmussen already into the pits at the end of lap 3. I feel like that's too early in my opinion, because he's not going to gain that much on the mediums, but the undercut maybe 1 or 2 tenths at maximum. But yeah, I don't think that's really going to work. I don't think it will even be an undercut, as the softs are still quite good. But yeah, we're going to stick with Joni Tormela for now and try and get this a DRS. Lucas Blakely only 2.5 tenths behind us, but as we're going to get DRS as well, I think it's going to be quite tough for him to get past us. So he might go for the undercut at the end of this lap. He will undercut us no matter what anyway, because he's going to have to pit either this next or the lap after that. And we will have to go until the end of lap 11, 12 or 13. So yeah, he's going to get past us no matter what. We need to accept that, but we can get him back later on new softs. So I'm going to get DRS on the long back straight right here. I'm not going to fight Joni Tormela because he's still on the softs and is still going to be faster. So we're going to just take advantage from this DRS. And ideally, I want to stick another lap behind Johnny, but obviously that's going to depend on if he's going to pit this lap or next lap. It will be perfect for us if he's going to stay out another lap, but as you can see ahead, Marcel goes into the pits and my teammate continues for the lap. Jonny and Lucas both pit, so that's a bit annoying. I'm still going to get DRS on this straight, which is perfect because that's just free time for me right now. You can see Danny Bresnay ahead of me by 3.2 seconds. And he is looking to pit at the end of this lap. So that's going to be interesting where he's going to come out. And also it's going to be interesting to see if Freddie actually makes that undercut work, as I think he pitted just too early and he's not going to get any undercut because the softs were just too fast still at that point. So interesting to see where Freddie is going to come out and where my teammate is going to come out. Marcel got out ahead of Freddie by quite a bit, I think so. So Marcel, I think, pitted at the exact right time, and he's gonna probably undercut my teammate. But that's alright, as Danny is gonna have the 1 lap fresher tire, so he can hunt down Marcel at the end of the race. You can see even my mediums are faster than Danny's softs at this point. So it shows softs really dropping off on this 5th lap. So that's something we have to keep in mind as well. We're not going to be as fast after 5 laps on those softs as we should be, but then at the same time the mediums will be worn out more compared to the softs as well, as a lot of people pitted really early, and I'm not looking to go 15 laps, 16 laps on the mediums. So I'm definitely going to pit earlier than that and take the maximum out of that soft compound tire. So going into lap 7 now, Alvaro still 1.5 seconds behind me, with Brendan in P3 2 seconds behind me. Those guys are a real threat for me at the moment, because if they decide to pit 1 lap earlier, they are most likely going to undercut me. But let's hear another team radio right here. If you have the chance, can you see what Carroton is on, the DRS-wise?
Yeah, we'll have a look.
So the reason I asked that is because it's important if they pit 1 lap earlier, that if, let's say, I have a lot more ERS, then I can cover that undercut off by using a lot of ERS on my in-lap. But if they're completely full and they pit 1 lap ahead of me, they're surely going to get the undercut, as the softs are around lap 12 when the mediums are 12 laps old. The softs are going to be like 2.5 to 3 seconds faster. So I need a 2.5 to 3 second gap to Alvaro to cover off the undercut. At the moment, we're not gaining any time, but with Brendan so close, they might start battling and I might gain time to them. So at the moment, I just need to keep pushing as hard as possible and try to extend my gap to Alvaro a little bit. So in case he does go for the undercut, I can try and cover it off. So now we move on to the end of lap 8, or going into the last sector of lap 8. We have around 73% ERS, which is a lot because that means if we would pit now, we would come out with 100% more or less. We still have Alvaro Carreton in P2, 1.5 seconds behind, so the gap has stayed more or less equal, but he might be low on ERS because Brendan has been pushing him really hard. As I have another onboard radio from my race engineer.
They haven't shown Carreton's ERS, but Brendan's behind and he's running really low.
Copy. So yeah, that shows my point that I had earlier. Brandon has been pushing Alvaro really hard, and they're battling. They lost a little bit of time to me, but that is pushing Alvaro to use his ERS as well. So Alvaro might be low, just like Brandon at this point. And again, going to turn one, I think they had a little bit of an incident where Brandon pushed Alvaro almost around. So that cost Alvaro 1 second right there. And also, they both low on ERS at this point. So I'm quite safe from those guys if they go for the undercut because I have a lot more pace in my hands at this point. I'm less under pressure, and also I have a lot more ERS, or I predict I have a lot more ERS than Alvaro. And as Dominic just said on the team radio, Brandon is running extremely low and basically costing both of them time. So it's looking really good. The only people I need to worry about are Lucas Blakely, Joni Tormela, or some people that would have gone really early for the mediums that are on an aggressive undercut. But yeah, on those new softs in a few laps time, we're going to be so much faster than those guys. So that's going to be very interesting.
I think as things stand, if you were to pit now, you'd have to be, or you'd be in at P6, you know.
Behind who?
Behind Danny, Kiefer, Rasmussen, Tormela, and Blakely.
Copy. Am I safe from Borimont?
Yeah, he's closing in a bit as well, so there might be 1 or 2 cars joining him as well. But then behind that, it's pretty safe.
So as you just heard, we're looking to rejoin around P6 to P8 on new soft compound tires, and we're also still expanding the gap to both Alvaro and Brendan. So it's looking less and less likely that we're going to be under a threat from those guys, and I just have to push as hard as possible on those old mediums to rejoin as close as possible to Marcel, Danny, and Freddie Rasmussen. So basically, the only threat I have at this point is the top three, because I just need to get close to them as fast as possible once I get out of the pits. And also, I need to be a bit lucky with catching the traffic at the right time, which I can plan ahead a little bit with ERS usage and fuel usage, but still it's never easy, and it's also very hard to get it right, of course. But yeah, we're looking to do that after the pit stops. Right now, I just have to get my head down and push as hard as possible. Also, I'm a little bit under threat from getting held in the pits in case Alvaro pits at the same time. But as long as it's around 2.5 to 2.6 seconds, the gap to Alvaro, then he's most likely not gonna hold me up in the pits, because the pit stop is 2.5 seconds plus slowing down for the pit box. That means it will be around 2.8, 2.9 to 3 seconds. So if the gap stays the same, that's all right. And then in case I do get held a little bit, like 2 or 3 tenths, then that's fine as well. But we just need to be careful that I don't get held for multiple seconds, because that's just gonna ruin my race. So right now, I just need to maintain gap. I'm not gonna use too much ERS. I still have a little bit spare, so I'm gonna use a little bit before I pit, but I don't want to use too much and get held by Alvaro in the pits. There's also just a few hours before the race there was a new rule about pit entry, that you can't fully cross the white line on the inside, otherwise you might get penalized. So yeah, that was not ideal, as a lot of people didn't read it in the F1 Esports Discord. So as I get my first warning of the race, still 2 remaining, so that's okay. But yeah, not ideal, because don't want to get a penalty, of course. Usually in F1 Esports, no one really gets a penalty, apart from some tracks like Mexico or Canada. But yeah, we need to be a bit more careful with that in the last soft stint. We're not going to get any more of those. But yeah, I think I was planning to pit at the end of this lap, but I decided to go one lap longer, if I remember correctly. But we will see that in a moment. Where did Brandon rejoin? Oh, quite far back.
Yeah, Brendan's behind Biancolila. Biancolila about 4 seconds behind Donoso.
Then I'll do one more lap. So as you just heard, Brendan rejoined quite far back, so that means I'm gonna go one lap longer, as we're not really under threat from him anymore, because he rejoined way too far back to really have an undercut on us. I think he had an incident, if I remember correctly, with Fabrizio Donoso. So yeah, that helps us a little bit, so we can go one lap longer and have easier overtakes after that. But this is really the last lap for me to pit, as I really need to get the maximum out of that soft compound of tires. So I've used a little bit ERS in the past 1.5 lap to try and not get 100% in the pits too early, because that will be just a waste of energy. So yeah, really need to get the maximum out of it before pitting. And I'm pushing really hard. You can see the rear wants to get away from me through that fast left-hander, as the mediums are starting to reach their 50% mark. So they're dropping off quite a bit at this point. But we also need to remember the people that pitted at the end of lap 3, 4, 5 are going to do 15, 16 to 17 laps on those tires. So that means they're really going to drop off towards the end of the race. So that's good for us, but also our softs are obviously going to drop off if we do 6 laps on them. So we need to make the moves early on when the softs are good. And yeah, that's going to be interesting, of course, where we're going to come out after the pit stop.
Remember the line. And also there was an incident between Donoso and Brendan. So there's another spot gained for you.
So as you just heard, incident between Donoso and Brendan, so no worry about losing another spot to Fabrizio or Brendan. So we come into the pits, took it quite safe. Obviously don't want to get a penalty. Also, the pit entry, I didn't cross the white line on the inside, as that was forbidden. Still, some people did it, as not everyone read the Discord, as I said before. I get held a little bit, but it's not too bad, only a few tenths. I can live with that, as coming out of the pits, I'm gonna be behind Lucas Blakely and Joni Tormela completely in free air, so that's absolutely perfect. Now we can really use those new softs completely to our advantage in this free air. And you can see in the top left the delta to Lucas Blakely and Joni Tormela, how fast it's dropping. Just to this long right hander we gained around 6 to 7 tenths. And at this point we're going to be around 2.5 to 3 seconds per lap faster than both Lucas and Joni. So I need to use my ERS wisely. I can't use too much of it at the same time. I think Lucas is going to go for a move on this lap. You can see he's only 4 tenths behind Joni on this lap, so we're surely going to try and make a move. I'm quite sure those guys are not going to defend too hard to me, as it will only damage their own race, because whether they defend or not, they're gonna finish behind me anyway. So yeah, the new softs are so much faster that defending is pretty useless to them. Obviously the top 3 is gonna defend, but we're gonna catch those guys in around 4 to 3 laps, 3 to 4 laps. So then the softs are gonna be slower, so then it actually makes sense to defend. But right now they are just gonna lose out if they defend, because Alvaro is coming on new softs behind me as well, and Fabrizio is in P8, actually had the fast lap of the race so far, so he has good pace. So if they battle me too hard, then they're going to lose out themselves, as Cedric Tomei sets the fastest lap, pitted 1 lap earlier than us. So yeah, we are looking to get a fast lap on this lap. And I'm also going to get DRS this lap from Joni Tormela on the back straight. In the middle sector, I won't really be able to overtake Joni, but on the back straight with DRS, we're looking really good to get past him. Also, the long right-hander, where you need a lot of mechanical grip, we're going to be a lot faster. And also through the middle sector, of course, where we're going to catch him more and more over this lap. Not want to use too much ERS yet, because I really need to save that for once I get to the top 3 and need to pass Freddy and Marcel. So I'm going to save it here. You can see I have so much more grip than Joni. Also in this long right-hander, look how close we are. We have a lot of dirty air, but the tire advantage is so big that we just get past him on the exit. And he knows as well that defending is going to be pretty useless. I turned off my overtake because, well, I don't want to use too much DRS. I use a little bit of overtake again here to be safe from him going into the hairpin. I have a little look at Lucas, but I'm going to wait until the main straight. Again, Lucas probably not going to defend for me because it's just going to damage his own race, of course. So going through the last corner, DRS opens. Not going to use any overtake because he doesn't have DRS, so we're going to get past him by using DRS. Alvaro sets the fastest lap of the race just after we did it. He had a little bit more free air, I think so. I think he had a completely free lap. Also might have used more ERS. So yeah, it's not really about setting one really fast lap. It's about setting all 6 laps as consistent as possible, as fast as possible. So now 2.5 seconds behind Freddy, and softs are still in really good shape, and they're going to be in really good shape for at least another 2 laps. So yeah, that last lap was, I think, around 2.5 to 3 seconds faster than the leaders. But I'm just going to miss out on the DRS from Freddy on this lap by, I think, around 7 tenths, which is a little bit annoying. Because it will be very nice if I already had DRS this lap, of course, but we will get it next lap definitely. And I don't want to use any overtake really at this point because I have to save it once I get behind Freddy. So 1.5 seconds. We've already gained around 1.5 seconds just on this lap. So next lap we're definitely gonna get the DRS, and we easily broke the DRS to Lucas, of course, as the pace advantage is so incredibly big. You saw it at the start where everyone just drove past me, and not to mention that they have 10 lap, 12 laps old mediums, so the pace advantage is even bigger than at the start on those new softs. So yeah, there's not much they're going to be able to do. Once I have the overtake opportunity on Freddy, obviously the softs have degraded a lot more compared to when I overtook Lucas and Yoni. So it's not going to be as easy, but still we're going to have a pace advantage as Freddy pitted really, really early. He pitted at the end of lap 3, so he's on quite bad mediums at this point. My teammate Danny Beresne went the longest on those softs, so he has the best mediums out of the 3. But once I get behind Danny, of course he's not going to battle too hard and let me go for the win. And maybe he can follow me once I have the opportunity to get past Marcel as well. So now is the first, or really the first time I have an overtake opportunity on Freddy. But of course, he's not gonna let me go super easily, as his teammate Marcel Kiefer is in the lead. And if Freddy lets me go, then it means I have basically 2 free overtakes, as Danny is ahead of Freddy. So then I basically, once I get too easily past Freddy, then I have a free win at that point, because Marcel doesn't have DRS and Freddy does, so it's easier for Freddy to defend at this point than for Marcel. But the longer I stay behind Freddy, the worse my tires are going to get compared to them, as the softs degrade so fast. So I really cannot sit around and wait too long. So I really have to get past Freddy somewhere in the middle sector, because if I don't get past in the middle sector, that means probably I only gonna get one opportunity on Marcel on the last lap. But you can see here we get a good exit, we get some slipstream down here. Freddy is gonna go down the inside, but we go down the outside, which means we can go deeper into the corner because Freddy has to brake earlier to not hit Danny, and we have more momentum, more grip, and we get him around the outside. So definitely one of the moves of the season right there, definitely. And tire advantage, of course, made it a lot easier. And now I'm behind my teammate Danny Beresne, who is looking to let me pass on the big back straight, using a little bit of overtake here to not hold me up. And now coming out of here, I don't want to use too much overtake, but in the end we had to, because Freddy again used the overtake to try and sneak past Danny here. So I used a little bit of overtake here, then try and take advantage of Danny's slipstream. I pull out, open the DRS, but you can see Freddy is gaining really fast right here. And going into the hairpin, I defended a bit from Freddy, so Danny was safe into the hairpin. Freddy does go down the inside of Danny, but Danny was on the outside, so had more momentum coming out of that hairpin. And now I'm going to get DRS on this straight from Marcel. I know my tires are still better than those guys, and they're probably going to stay better until the finish. So I'm going to be patient, not use any overtake, cool my engine because it's overheating a little bit, and just stick behind Marcel through the first and middle sector, and then we're looking to get past on the long back straight. I'm also looking to cool my tires a little bit, so I'm just chilling behind him right here. Don't lock up, don't get wheel spin, and keep both surface and core temperatures down. You see I get a little bit of a slide as it's really hard to stay on the limit every lap with those softs as they're dropping off so fast, and you also need to keep the tire temperature in the right window. But Alvaro Carreton now 1.7 seconds behind us, so he's done a really good soft stint, but now he still has to get past Freddy, so that's gonna cost him some time, and also his softs are not as good anymore as when we got past Freddy, of course, so it's not going to be easy for him. But now, coming out of this long right-hander, we are quite close, only 2.5 tenths behind Marcel. We put on our overtake button, we have the slipstream, and by the time we turn on our DRS, we are pretty much already next to him, and coming into the hairpin, we brake really deep. We go deep into the hairpin, lock up the inside front, but we were ahead, so we still had more grip as well, so easy on the exit for us. And now into the last lap, gonna make sure Marcel is not gonna have a go at us again, using our overtake right there, and I will basically deplete the energy recovery system everywhere I can, and just to make sure Marcel is not going to have a go at us anymore on that long back straight, and also not going to fully push anymore as it's a bit risky with tire temperature. Our softs are going to drop off on this lap. This is basically the point where I would say the softs are the least fast, of course, as they have the most tire wear. But also they've just hit the 50% mark, so they are dropping off pace-wise the most aggressive compared to all previous laps. So now 8 tenths to Marcel. I tried to get out of his DRS, so Danny had a chance, but I just didn't manage to pull that off. I think so. As you can see, it's 9.5 tenths, so I just did not manage to do that. But anyway, I think probably Danny would have not made it anyway, as he's 7 to 8 tenths behind Marcel. So also Danny still has to defend from Alvaro, who is still in a charge. Of course, Alvaro did manage to get past Freddy, and is also looking to attack Danny, of course. But I think Alvaro is just out of DRS probably. So yeah, I think Alvaro was out of DRS. So coming through the last corner, we're gonna win our second race of the F1 2020 esports season ahead of Marcel Kiefer and our teammate Danny Bresney in P3. So absolute mega first event, absolute insane first 3 races in general. I wasn't really happy about Vietnam, but yeah, this was probably one of my best F1 esports races ever. With the alternate strategy, of course, and how I had to deal with the traffic. So yeah, absolute insane race. Overtook so many people on that last stint. Super happy with it. We got 40 points for the team. So almost perfect race. We just didn't get our second 1-2 finish, but that's okay. Still absolute insane amount of points. And yeah, looking to do another F1 Esports video on Monday. That one will be around Sandford, so make sure to check that one out as well. I will be uploading that one on 5 o'clock on Monday, 5 o'clock Dutch time, so that's 4 o'clock UK time. So make sure to check that one out as well. Also, if you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. And see you guys next time. Ciao.